As always, nothing to say. For the first time in franchise history, the Cowboys have won 9 straight regular season games. Dak Prescott carried the boys on his back, becoming the 4th rookie since the merger to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and no interceptions in a game. 2 of those touchdowns were to Dez Bryant, who is a believer in Dak.
The guy's amazing. We're gonna follow that guy. We're gonna continue to keep following that guy. And like I said, I wouldn't say he had a bad quarter, because he didn't. Because the way that he adjusts and the way he handles his business, it says a lot about him.
See, that hat I can work with, not Cam's. Dak was 6 of 8 for 78 yards and a touchdown in the 4th quarter versus the Ravens. We asked you guys on Twitter, is Dak the NFL MVP right now? 52% saying Dak is not the MVP.
That's not the story. Is 48% saying he is.
No question.
That's almost.
Well, that's the real story. So, did he prove he's the MVP after Sunday's performance?
Well, if you're the Cowboys, here's the good thing. We were on this show last week asking if Ezekiel Elliott was the MVP of the league. So when you have that discussion about your 2 rookie starters,
in line,
that's a good place to be. But I said it last week. I didn't think Ezekiel Elliott was the MVP candidate over Dak Prescott. And he's starting to prove each and every week that he's not a game manager. He's not a guy that they are winning in spite of. He's the guy driving this team and this force to win games. But as I said last week, too, right now, Derek Carr is in this conversation for me. If you look at the numbers, they're very similar. Derek Carr had the signature MVP moments early in the season. You think about from week 1 in New Orleans, throwing the ball to Crabtree. Obviously, you go down to Tampa Bay, he throws the dig route in overtime for a touchdown. So he's had the plays early on in the season to say that he deserves to be the front runner for the MVP. But now, here comes Dak Prescott. Here comes Dak racking up the yards, 2 300-yard games. I don't like how you drinking your drink and looking at me like that either. I see y'all.
It's disrespectful.
It's real disrespectful.
Put some respect on his name.
It's real disrespectful. I almost feel like how they came at Stephen A. on them, had to come at him too. But
it ain't gonna work for them.
What I'm saying is this though: Dak Prescott is now to me 1B. Derek Carr is 1A. Okay. Dak Prescott is 1B. So how these games play out when you have divisional games that determine the division champion is who will be the MVP to me out of those 2 guys.
At this moment, because look, Matt Ryan's coming off the bye, right? So we're not thinking about him right now. He's in the conversation. Derek Carr is. But, Derek Carr has a great offensive line just like Dak Prescott does. That's what, and you could put a million guys behind those offensive lines. Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson. You put some of those guys behind these offensive lines, you know what they do? But the fact is they're not playing behind those offensive lines. Derek Carr and Dak Prescott are. And at this moment, I think Dak Prescott is the MVP of the league. Of all non-Tom Brady quarterbacks, he has the highest QBR. But since Brady, I'm never disputing Brady on a per-game basis is the best player this season. I'm just saying if you miss 4 games and another guy who's, also very good didn't, in terms of value over the season, the other guy gets it. So you take Tom Brady out of it, and Dak Prescott's leading the league of all the guys who played in all the games in QBR. And you can say whatever you want about the offensive line, and that's true. It obviously helps him. It certainly doesn't hurt. But you know what happened yesterday? They dared Dak Prescott to beat them. Okay, kid. We see what you can do, ball control offense and all this, but can you beat us with your arm? Can you beat us, keep making those plays? And the answer is yes. You say he did it. You say game manager as though many people use it as a dirty word. To me, other than the Aaron Rodgers of the world, like the guys who you can say might be the greatest who ever did it, the quarterback you're actually looking for is a game manager who's big on 3rd down.
Wait.
That's Dak Prescott.
Here's the thing, though. I said he's not just a game manager.
I understand.
Another thing, game managers don't win MVPs.
Okay, but I'm saying a game manager who's big on 3rd down, playing behind that O-line, can win an MVP. And at this moment, if I had to vote for someone, my vote goes to Dak.
Mine's ain't. Here's the deal. It's a few teams that a few players rather I'm gonna look at Derek Carr. I'm looking at Matt Ryan. I'm looking at Tom Brady. Now, I understand that Dallas has gone 9-1. They've won 9 straight, and Dak Prescott is highly impressive. I'm proud of the brother personally. I ain't rooting against him. I just can't stand the Dallas Cowboy fan base. They're disgusting. I hate them. I can't stand them. They're the most delusional people on the planet. They're the most annoying. They're the most obnoxious. They make me look mild-mannered, and the bane of my existence is a Cowboy fan. I can't stand them to the core. And at the end of the day, if this team wins, you're going to carry this show, because I ain't showing up. I don't know if I can deal with the Cowboy fans. It hasn't. I wish it did. I really do. Keep praying, brother. Keep praying. Here's the deal. When you look at Dak Prescott, I think about 2 things. I think about your running game. I also think about time of possession. Dallas is clearly #1 in the league. Who's number 4? It would happen to be the Oakland Raiders. We think about New England. We know that Tom Brady, even though LeGarrette Blount can ball and to get Deion Lewis back, the bottom line is that offense is predicated on Tom Brady. Time of possession, New England's ranked like 17th. We look at a team, you look at, like I said, Matt Ryan and Atlanta, they're 23rd in time of possession. So you've got teams in New England and Atlanta where your quarterback is the man. You got a guy in Derek Carr, even though he's got an offensive line and they're relatively decent, and Latavius Murray can ball. Ezekiel Elliott, and that offensive line is no joke. I'm not taking anything away from Dak Prescott. I know this brother is special and he can play. What I'm saying is that because of the emergence of Ezekiel Elliott, what he brings to the table, because of that offensive line, and because of time of possession, that helps buffer the stature of a Dak Prescott and what you have to fear. I mean, there have been certain times I'm watching Dak Prescott. He's stepping back. He's taking pictures. He's calling his honey. He's sitting up there saying, how you doing? I'm coming home. So let's go out to dinner tonight. After the game, the whole bit.
When Tom Brady got Randy Moss, right, from the Oakland Raiders, did we penalize him for having a great outside receiver?
No, we did not. But we did recognize still his greatness. What I'm saying is we recognize and appreciated his greatness.
He got the MVP, though.
I understand that. But what I'm saying to you is that's Brady to Randy Moss. That's not Brady to Ezekiel Elliott. Well, in this case, LeGarrette Blount or somebody. I'm just handing the ball off. What I'm saying to you is the offensive line is so potent. The running game is so
And you don't want to give it to a rookie. Why don't you say what it is?
Okay.
No one wants to give it to a rookie.
Here's the question.
That's what it is.
So here's my question for you, Stephen A. You talk about time of possession, right? So if the quarterback didn't factor in the time of possession, if you're thinking being 17th in time of possession, being 23rd is more impressive, that's not to me, because you know what? When it's 3rd and 5, when it's 3rd and 6, when you have to convert, when it was late in the game against Philadelphia Eagles, that was Dak Prescott making those throws. That's Derek Carr. That's how you keep the ball, Stephen A.
He did make those throws.
You keep the ball by making the plays on 3rd
down conversion.
That's how you keep the ball.
Wait a minute. But your argument would be more profound if I said he wasn't an MVP candidate. What I said was he is. It's just that there's certain dudes that I would put above. And I gave you 3 big names in Carr, Ryan, and Brady. That's what I'm saying.
Brady missed 4 games.
Carr's the only one in there. Carr's the only one in there. Carr's the only one in there.
Well, you say Matt Ryan didn't play this week, but Matt Ryan plays, and the numbers are right there for Matt Ryan.
No, Matt Ryan's numbers are really good. The team isn't as good as these 2 teams, and we know when your numbers don't exceed the other guys' numbers by far. When you're not on Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, record-breaking season type years, then it goes to your team.
What question are we asking? I understand that, but what are we asking? Who do we think's going to win the MVP? No, that's a different question. There are weeks to go. Are we asking who would we give the MVP to right now, or are we asking realistically who would the MVP go to right now if the season ended today?
I'm saying
I believe the question is who would we give the MVP to right now? So we don't have to factor in team success if we don't want. We don't have to take away all the credit because he's playing behind a great offensive line. I think if we're honest with ourselves and we say, who would we give it to right now? Carr is a good pick. Dak Prescott, I think, is the best pick. And Matt Ryan, who, recency bias, he didn't play this week, so we're not really talking about him. Those are the 3 guys we're really talking about, right? Am I missing somebody?
Brady.
No.
Tom Brady.
No.
You gotta stop living here.
You could sit up there and say not Brady right now because we're 9 games in and he missed the 4. I don't think you could say that if you're 12 games. I'm saying if you're 16 games and he's played the 12. I'm saying if he played the 12.
We also have to remember, we always give team success, right? This is the reason why we think Brady's the best quarterback of this era, and he's been talked about as maybe the best quarterback of all time because of his team's success. In missing 4 games, Tom Tom Brady has lost as many games as Dak Prescott.
And as his backups, by the way.
Yeah, he's lost as many games as Dak Prescott. So how is he in that conversation?
Because I said so.
Because his
that's
level
how I
of
feel.
play.
You know what I'm saying?
Because the eye test.
I feel that way. It's
What
On
eye
a per-game
test?
basis, he's the best, Molly. But right now, he's played in half the games.
Listen, let me
and he's
tell
not
you
even better than who's
But my thing is, though, tell me how, even on a per-game basis, is he better than Derek Carr and Dak
mediocre
Prescott right now?
competition. I'm taking Tom Brady having the absence of a potent running game to the degree that Dallas has, and Dak Prescott has it.
When Tom Brady came back, LeGarrette Blount was leading the league.
Listen.
Time out. Tom Brady's second and third string quarterbacks were 3-1 without him. His second string was 2-0. Only the third string made it 3-1, and Tom Brady's 4-1.
Yeah, we're talking
so he's
about
getting a marginal.
Career. Now, if you ask me who I want on my team, I want Tom Brady. But this year, he is not the MVP. He's not in the conversation.
Right.
We're not talking about it.
Right.
In your mind. But in the rest of ours, guess what? We get to see Dak Prescott again on Thanksgiving while we're eating turkey. And they'll be facing the Redskins. And speaking of the NFC East, coming up next.
To say the first half of the season has been emotional would be a huge understatement. Seasons are fleeting, games become more precious, chances for success diminish. It's a dark place. Probably the darkest it's ever been. And you ask yourself, why did this have to happen? It's not always easy to watch. I think anybody who's been in this position understands that. Ultimately, it's about the team. It's what we've preached our entire lives.
I appreciate that emotional, dramatic music there. Sunday, Dak wasn't the only Cowboys quarterback making headlines. Jason Lockenfor is reporting there will be a major trade market for Romo this offseason, with multiple teams interested in his services. The Broncos and Cardinals have been heavily mentioned thus far. Ian Rappaport also reporting that Romo is eyeing Denver as a possible landing spot. But Rappaport went on to say walking away from the game is a consideration for Romo as well. So he's considering retiring. Max, where should he be next season?
The truth is, he should be on Dallas's bench. I mean, if there's a way to redo a deal so that he's not really killing your cap, he's not healthy enough, nor will he ever be healthy enough to start for a team. Because if he went to a place like Denver or wherever else, they really do need a starting quarterback that they can bank on throughout the course of the season. Can't bank on him. But he still has enough left when he's on the field. I can understand why he doesn't want to hang it up. And the way Jerry Jones has taken care of him, the way the Dallas Cowboys culture, which is just different from all the other teams because they are America's team, even though it's sickening, it's true, that kind of PR stunt has worked. The way Jerry Jones has taken care of him, if Tony Romo retires a Dallas Cowboy, he will, whether you think he deserves it or not, occupy a space in their history and tradition that is really elevated. So considering he's still good when he's on the field, considering the Cowboys need a backup quarterback, and considering he can't stay healthy for another team, why wouldn't he just back up Dak next season?
Let me get this out the way right now.
Get him.
I think Tony Romo should retire. You have several back injuries over the last 2 to 2.5 years. You have the broken collarbone as well. You have age as an issue. I totally understand from an emotional standpoint why Tony Romo doesn't want to leave, because believe it or not, you keep giving credit to Stephen Jones. The person who actually deserves most of the credit for the Cowboys and what's transpired is Tony Romo, because when Jerry Jones wanted to do certain things, it was Tony Romo that was in his face saying draft offensive lineman, and he was beating his head, he was beating that drum big time, the Zach Martins of the world, Travis Fredericks of the world, people like that.
Oh, Stephen A. spoken to someone.
So, no, I'm just telling you, I have in the past, but I'm just saying this is something that we've all known. So because Tony Romo was fixated on buffering that offensive line. We all know that's what Dallas' success is primarily predicated on. Their ability to run the football, their ability to pass protect, time of possession. Those are the things that have worked tremendously in their favor. Having said all of that, it still hasn't been enough to keep Tony Romo healthy. And so as a result of that, no matter where you go, you're so fragile. And we all know how much it must hurt, because as this team finally rises, you're not really a part of it in terms of playing on the field. So your heart ain't going anywhere else. We all know where he wants to be, but this is Dak's show now. Call it a career, move on, collect your money, be safe.
Let me address Max in his statement as far as Tony Romo. Tony Romo will be a distraction. And no starting quarterback wants to be the backup for the same team that you were the starting quarterback for over a decade. Mm-hmm. That's just something that just can't happen. It's impossible for the player, because if the player that's playing in front of you is having so much success, now you begin to regret your decision to come back and be the backup, but let alone you question your ability and what you can provide for this football team. The best thing for him to do is to go elsewhere and to see if he can continue on with his career. Perfect example being Peyton Manning. Everyone was talking about they should draft Andrew Luck and let Andrew learn under Peyton for a year, then all of a sudden part ways with Peyton. Peyton didn't want to be in that situation.
Neither did Andrew Luck.
Right.
Yeah, right.
That's why he went elsewhere. Now, as for your situation in which you were talking about, the emotion aspect of it, I don't think he should retire. I think what he should do is get himself back healthy at 100%, find out what the market offers him, meaning what team will be willing to bring him in, also, and them being a contributor, meaning they can compete for a title. And so for the Denver Broncos, I know he's interested in it because he's looking at Trevor Siemian and saying that defense is outstanding. They have weapons with Demaryius Thomas and Sanders and these guys, and the offensive line is okay. That's a great spot, but I don't think they make that move of $14, $15 million. And then
they're not going to do it because you're running a football team. You can't, and you think you're ready to actually win. You're missing a quarterback. You are not going to stake the hopes of that season on a guy who you know is not going to get through the season.
Peyton Manning came off a neck injury.
No, but it wasn't a degenerative. It wasn't a chronic degenerative condition to the extent that Romo's is, where it's consistently the back that's ending his seasons.
Wait a minute.
Hold on.
Scarier,
Let me get to you. Hold on. Peyton Manning was a Super Bowl champion. Tony Romo has 2 playoff victories in his entire career.
I'll get on his numbers and things that
I'm not going to numbers.
I'm going by the injury. I'm going by the injury. Stop trying to go in advance every time we start talking. I'll get to you in a minute. Let's talk about the emotion aspect of it.
So I want to talk about the emotion. Yeah. He's going to be a distraction. He's such a distraction this year. They're 9-1. He's distracted them to a 9-1 record.
He's a distraction right up until they lose. And once, because think about the Philadelphia Eagles game. When all of a sudden, that was the big time of when he was supposed to come back because we had heard reports that he had been practicing a little bit. What happened with Dak Prescott? Dak had his worst game that he had played in because now he's forcing balls at Des Bryant. He's looking over his shoulder. There's conversations of, will that be the end for him? I talked to Dak Prescott, and that was the whole question that I had for him was, have they talked to you yet? Not yet. So what are they waiting on? They're going into the bye week. Let's have a conversation. Am I going to go into this bye week as a starting quarterback, or am I coming back as the backup? That's a question that's an answer.
Are you suggesting that Dak struggled as a rookie quarterback playing against an excellent defense? His worst game that you want to point to as a result of distraction is a comeback overtime win.
Listen,
that's what you want to point to?
A comeback overtime win, but you keep going by the eye test. You watch the game. Dak was missing throws thrown off his back foot.
Until it counted.
Here you go with the until it mattered. Yeah, he's a great ball player. Because you're a football player, that means you're going to do what it takes to win the game. It wasn't nobody else's fault but the Eagles why 2 guys fell and all of a sudden Jason Witten standing in the end zone by himself. That wasn't Dak Prescott. That was just bad play by the Philadelphia Eagles. But for a guy like Dak Prescott, being young, Ezekiel Elliott same way, why have distractions where they have to consistently answer questions about a guy that's not even playing?
I'll tell you why. Because the issue last year was no backup. They'd like a backup quarterback. What's the best backup quarterback you can have? A guy who knows the system inside and out, is excellent when he's on the field. Health will not allow him to play a full season, but if you keep him healthy on the bench, you need him to pinch hit a week or two, can come on and you don't really drop off. That's perfect.
The only way I would chime in is this, and this is more of a question more so than anything else, because you would know better than us. Can you love a place so much that you're willing to settle for certain conditions that are worse than what they used to be because the overall experience, ambiance, and everything that comes with it facilitates your desire to stay on board, particularly when it's not diminished skill per se, it's age, it's attrition, and health. When you look at a guy like Tony Romo, even though I get on him for only having 2 playoff victories,
and I do
there is no question that he's a big-time talent. So I'm able to look at him and say, damn, you're just 36 with the back. You haven't been healthy. Right. That's why you're not out there. Yeah. As opposed to, no, dog, he's better than you. There's a difference, isn't it?
No, the whole thing is, to answer your question, no. I'm not going to be in a place. You played basketball.
Yep.
You're a starter for 5, 7, 10 years. You're the leading scorer. All of a sudden, a young stud comes in. He shows promise. You tear your ACL. He's the leading scorer, makes the All-Star team. All of a sudden, people are raving about him coming back the next year. The coach comes to you and says, we're going to bring you off the bench. Okay, well, why am I coming off the bench? I'm the leading scorer. I'm the face of the franchise. Well, we feel better chemistry with this young guy. Are you going to sit there and
You know what
settle for
happens
that?
when they do that? Hold on. You know what
You're
happens?
not going to settle for that.
Donovan, you know what happens when they do that? Andre Iguodala goes to the bench and you win a championship. If you have selfless players,
Stop. That's no comparison. Your comparisons have been awful. Your comparisons have been terrible.
He's the other AI. What are you talking about?
Andre Iguodala was a starter. Andre Iguodala was a starter and an Olympic-level player.
That's right.
That's right.
I know how much you know about basketball.
Thank you.
This man knows his basketball. You're embarrassing yourself with that statement.
No, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. Yes, go to the bench.
Andre Iguodala, but that ain't embarrassing.
There are players out there. There are plenty of players of Iguodala's caliber who would not go to the bench like that.
I'm trying to tell you.
Perfect example.
You're wrong.
You bring up an AI. Let's go to the real AI.
The real AI.
Let's go to the real AI. AI goes to Denver in a trade.
Right.
Plays with Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony is a young stud. All of a sudden, you keep hearing about Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony. AI still can put up 25, 30, yeah, if he gets 30 shots. But yet still, that's what he's accustomed to.
Well, to buffer your argument even more, a better example would be when he went to Detroit afterwards.
There you go.
When he went
or
to Detroit,
Memphis.
Because when he went, well, no, not so much because it was done in Memphis, but when he went to Detroit, he wanted to start. Rip Hamilton wasn't having it.
No.
Rip Hamilton was like, I'm a champion. Hell with that. I ain't coming
you
off
guys
no
keep
damn
pointing
bench.
to teams that didn't go all the way because a player wasn't willing to make a sacrifice.
Detroit did go all the way.
No, not with Iverson.
No, I'm saying
they got rid of Iverson.
Rip Hamilton wasn't willing to concede to Iverson.
Right.
That's what that's what we're talking about.
Because at that point, he was better for the team than Iverson.
No. But at that point, everybody was thinking about AI. AI was still box office. AI was still good for 20 a night.
My point is,
but
you guys keep making it about the individual players. My point is, what is best for the team? The teams that can decide what's best for them and convince their players to behave selflessly win championships.
He's talking about the individual that can't be convinced.
I'm not talking about
Why are you so convinced? Why are you convinced that Tony Romo can't be convinced?
Because Tony Romo still feels he can play the game. You heard it in his speech.
But not over the course of a whole season.
Well, you're saying that. He mentally feels like he can.
He doesn't believe that.
And I think he can. You see, I didn't think Peyton Manning would last as long as he did in Denver. But he showed that.
We got to go to break. Yes or no? You think he retires or you think
No, I don't think he retires. I think he plays another couple of years.
I don't think he retires either. I just think he should.
Let's leave it there.